That's not fair.
You!
Me.
You need to stop hitting people!
Hi, this is the Professional Amateur Hour coming to you with another review. This week I checked out Mortal Kombat Legends Cage Match, and this 2023 film was directed by Ethan Spalding and stars Joel McHale, Gilbert Gottfried, and Kelly Hu, among others of course. The story of this movie is about the Mortal Kombat character Johnny Cage, and he's like an action star before he joins the tournament. And so it is about him in the 80s being an action star. Then one day while filming his newest role, which is Mime Ninja, he has to go look for his co-star who has disappeared. So he goes to her mansion and it discovers two other Mortal Kombat characters fighting in there. And then he gets tied up with them, like they drop like a scroll or something, and now he has the scroll and they're looking for the scroll, and the scroll is for some dimension or something, or a dimensional portal, and it all just kind of, goes from there. I don't think they ever actually, find the co-star that they're actually looking for, but that's not really what the story's about. So that's just the initial, premise. Will they stop the evil guy who wants to come into the real world? Well, for that, you gotta watch the movie and find out. All right, so let's discuss this film. So what works with it? Well, I thought the animation style was pretty interesting. It's all like this kind of 80s neon and pastels style, and it works for what it is. 80s music also is in there too, and I kind of love that type of stuff. I don't think it necessarily works for Mortal Kombat though. It just doesn't seem like Mortal Kombat would have this style. I think there's another show out there, I think it's called Moonbeam City, that has this style, and it works for that because they're taking place in the 80s and that's all their, their whole shtick. Where with Mortal Kombat, and that's not really kind of the shtick of Mortal Kombat. It's all about the blood and guts and stuff. And so, yeah, it if it wasn't associated with Mortal Kombat, I would say it's good. It certainly is fluid and very well done, but just whether or not it matches up with Mortal Kombat, we'll discuss that in a moment. In addition, this movie is like an action comedy, and whenever it does have action, I enjoyed all of it. The fights are good, and that's what Mortal Kombat is about, right? Doing all these fights. And so all the fights certainly work for what they are. I certainly did enjoy them. Very fluid animation that works with it all. The comedy aspect of it, of course, comedy is subjective, and I'll probably discuss it more in a moment. But I think I laughed maybe 25% of the time. So certainly, some of the jokes certainly did work. And so just know it's good action with some jokes. Also with this movie, Gilbert Gottfried shows up in it, or at least his voice does. And so he is there, he's like swearing and cursing away. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed his character. I thought he was one of the more entertaining characters in the whole thing. And so just watching him go and curse, it's wonderful that way. It's his voice, is odd, but that's part of why I love it. So Gilbert, if you're out there, just know that, I'm giving you the thumbs up. And that brings me to what doesn't work with this film. And I have quite a few problems with it, I gotta say. And I think that might just be, me and my experience with the Mortal Kombat series. I did, play the first three, I think. I really did enjoy 1 and enjoy 3 as well. Of course, you got all the ninjas in the first one, and then you have all the robots in the third one. And so all of that, works for the video games, but none of it is in this one. In fact, I actually have a problem with the whole kind of setting as well. I think Mortal Kombat 1 came out in 92, and so it doesn't make sense for Johnny Cage to be doing all this stuff in the 80s. Like, it just doesn't really work. That's not like part of the Mortal Kombat, brand. It's all about, like, especially when it came out, it was all about kind of the extremeness of it. Like, it's all, the blood, the guts, and how extreme that was for the time. Where this one just kind of seems very muted with that. And with it being in the 80s, it doesn't have all the kind of the grittiness of the 90s, I would say. It has these 80s rose-colored glasses on it the whole time. And I don't know, it just doesn't really work for Mortal Kombat, especially with the neon pastels and everything like that. It just doesn't feel Mortal Kombat to me. That even goes further with Johnny Cage himself. Like, I always thought Johnny Cage was like such a cool character, but in this one, he's like a big kind of doofus. And even further than that, he's just like Deadpool, if you know that movie with that character. And he's always doing not like necessarily fourth wall breaks, but he's always pausing and then talking to the audience like, can you believe this is happening, or oh, isn't she so cute, or whatever, right? And so it just makes him into like Deadpool. And like, would you enjoy watching Deadpool in a Mortal Kombat movie? Maybe you would, but it just doesn't work with the brand. Like, the brand is serious and extreme, where this is just goofy, silly, and doofery going around. So that certainly, at least for me personally, did not work. In addition, another thing I had an issue with was that they use some of the newer characters in Mortal Kombat. For me, myself, I've only really played 1 to 4, I guess. And so I know Johnny Cage, but I don't know who any of these other characters are. Like, I actually had to look them up to be like, is this what the character is supposed to look like? And even then it was like, is this even a character inside Mortal Kombat? Because they don't, give their fighting names like right away. So I was kind of confused half the time who these characters were. And, I know Johnny Cage, like, if you're doing Mortal Kombat, have the iconic heroes. Don't just have these new ones that, classic fans won't know. I guess if you've been playing the games, you know all of them, but I don't. So it just kind of made it odd and confusing, and just made it also not feel like an engaging movie, one that I could really get involved with, because I kind of felt left out using all of these newer characters. So it's something that, if you are a classic fan, make sure you at least, review some of the newer ones. So it seems like, does Raiden have a daughter? Is that like a thing? I don't even know. Like, I've been out of the loop for so long now, I guess. So yeah, if you're into, all of them, I'm sure you'll know all of these characters, but not me. And that just kind of brought it down for me. And ultimately, when it comes down to it, it just kind of feels like a generic movie. It could have taken place with any different characters. They've just slapped the Mortal Kombat sticker on it to, sell some more. I don't know why I pressed play on this one. I think it was late at night and I saw the title and I was like, yeah, like, I've seen Legend of Chun-Li. Like, that one was a disaster. Is this going to be a disaster? So of course I pressed play with it, not realizing that Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter are completely different series. I watch all of these late at night, so I don't really think clearly sometimes. But yeah, it just was like kind of a disappointment. Like, I was really kind of excited for it. Is it as bad as The Legend of Chun-Li? Certainly not, especially since it's a cartoon. Like, it has a whole different feel to it. And so you could watch it just for entertainment. I think with this one, it'd be good if you were like trying to engage teenagers with the Mortal Kombat series. That might work, but then there's like a bunch of like F-bombs for like a whole 10 minutes is this like Gilbert Gottfried like saying the F word. And so it's challenging, I think, to find an audience with this one. It's too generic for, adult audiences, but then it uses some extreme elements for, to make it outside of the younger audience range. So it's one of these movies that just feel very generic as you're watching it. So yeah, that's kind of what I think about this movie. As for my recommendation, well, with this one, I don't really think I can recommend it. Unless you're somehow like a huge Mortal Kombat fan, then maybe watch it. I think they have other Legends movies, but with this one being like a comedy and so heavily reliant on the comedy, I'm not sure it would stack up either way. So, with this one, I would say watch at your own risk. As for my rating, well, this one, it's very blah. So I'm going to give it the double math score of 3.4. And with that being said, I think that's all I wanted to say. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.